Hi, this is Nancy from Peace Coaching Worldwide. I'm hailing from my brand new digs today, so new office, new background. So wanted to talk a little bit today about something that has come up quite a few times in my sessions this week, and that is internal family systems and parts work. It's one of the main modalities that I use in order to help people influence change in some subconscious parts of their brain, which is where our feelings come from. I tell people that no matter what people sit on my couch for, what they're really looking for is peace. In fact, I have a cup in my office, and it's on the website, and it talks about peace and what we are really looking for. So what my cup says is peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still feel calm in your heart. And no matter what people sit on my couch for, that's what they're looking for. They want some peace. They want to just feel good. We're not naive. We're not stupid. We know that there's going to be noise, trouble, and hard work. We just want to be in the midst of those things and still feel okay. Well, the place where our feelings begin ultimately is a part of our brain that scientists refer to as lizard brain or reptilian brain or hind brain. They're all talking about the same thing. And so why do scientists call this part of our brain lizard brain? And the reason is because this part of our brain, it's right in the back of our head, right above our brainstem. And that part of our brain controls for us the same things that represent the totality of a lizard's brain. So what does a lizard know? If we had a 14-foot alligator and we looked at its brain, it would be about the size of a walnut. It's a tiny little brain. And what does a lizard know? A lizard knows fight, flight, or freeze. It knows how to be aggressive. It knows how to run away, etc. It knows survival things like breathe, eat, etc. And it knows make baby alligators, sex drive. So the part of our brain that controls those things for us is what scientists refer to as lizard brain. And so lizard brain is very primitive, it's very instinctual, etc. The middle part of our brain, the limbic system, is controls about 20% of our behaviors in a given day, and it's subconscious. And lizard brain, by the way, controls about 78% of our behaviors in a given day, also subconscious. If we're doing some quick math there, we're talking about 98% of our behaviors are being controlled by parts of our brain we're not consciously aware of. Correctamundo. The WIMP, right up here, the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe, that part is the part that we're consciously aware of, and that controls only about 2% of our behaviors in a given day. And so that is a problem. So if we're going to feel better, still feel calm in our heart, we need to know what's going on in lizard brain that controls 78% of our behaviors and why it reports to our feelings that we are not having peace. And so I use parts work, there we go, internal family systems in order to influence those kinds of changes. And also I use some brain spotting, which gives us access to those parts of your brain and allows us to talk and more predominantly listen to those parts of the brain and then ultimately influence them. And when we change our mind and we change how that subconscious part of our brain thinks and feels, it reports to our feelings that we should feel better, that we should feel peace. And so that is the deeper underlying work. Talk therapy is great. I've done it for many years. But sometimes we really need to get into the deep underlying pieces and really influence them to have true, full, long-term, sustainable change and peace in our hearts. I will ask questions sometimes of people like, if you were to think about your life in its totality, and you were to think about how many times did you really have everything okay at the same time? Right? So like my job is good, my finances are good, my marriage is good, my kids are good, my health is good, my parents' health are good, my friends are good. Everything is perfect all at the same time or real close to it. Number one answer, none. Number two answer is maybe once or twice. And my follow-up question for that is how long did it last? And if people are answering honestly, they'll say half an hour. right? I mean, so if our peace comes from everything being okay in our environment and staying that way, it's no wonder we don't have any peace, because we can't get all of our circumstances that perfect, that and stay that way all the time. So peace doesn't lie in having our circumstances just so. That's a mythical belief. And so we look at, okay, well, then where does real peace come from? And it comes from that part of my brain that I'm not even consciously aware of. I don't know what I don't know. And so there's plenty of grace to be had, because guess what? We don't know what we don't know. My job is to have a little bit of a clue about that and to help guide people into finding out those things that I don't know, those things that I carry from my childhood, those things that I carry like trauma, shame, abandonment, things like that, to find those things and ultimately heal them. And then that part of my brain reports to the limbic system that we're good, and I feel the feeling of peace. And so that in a nutshell is kind of like how I run my mental health. And so it's a way of leading your heart and your feelings instead of following it. And it's a far more internally peaceful, less anxious way to live your life. And so that is, in a nutshell, one of the modalities that I use for people to help people do deeper work. And get to the underlying cause of things and not just the logistics. I mean, things like I statements, and we need to slow down and use a better tone and use better body language when we communicate, things like that. They all have their place. They have some little bits of value. But when we talk about real, true, systemic, lifelong change, we're talking about the stuff that underpins it. The stuff, why is it that I get so angry when my wife or my husband does this? And we need to have an answer to that question. And so those are kinds of things that we look at, that we delve into, and in order to get the underpinnings, where all of this stuff comes from, and be able to work through it and ultimately heal it and find some peace with it. So I'd love to help you through that journey. Really, my specialty is kind of working with people who are deeper on their recovery journey, and have maybe even worked with other coaches or therapists, and kind of gotten to a place where they're stuck and they can't really go any further. Going deeper into those things is kind of like my wheelhouse. It's kind of my favorite thing to work on. And so we can do some of the other stuff as well. But when we really get into that deeper stuff is when we see true, deep, lifelong, lasting change. And that is my jam. I dig working with people on those kinds of things. So if you'd like, you can schedule an appointment with me on the website, and I hope to talk to you soon. Take care.